Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hitesh Gulyani. I'm Head Marketing BSI India. Welcome to our live webinar, Building Information Modeling, the why, the what, and the how. You have joined a muted webinar. That means you can hear all our panelists clearly. You are requested to use question box on the right side of your screen to ask questions. Please ask us a lot of questions, and if we can't answer all of them, we will respond to you after the webinar. Slides and recording will be available after today's webinar. Now I'll welcome to our panelist, Mr. Rahul Shah, Sector Development Director, EMEA, Built Environment BSI. Rahul has over 23 years of experience. He has held leadership role responsibility for driving digital information, innovation, and leading a BIM strategy implementation program globally. Our second panelist, Ms. Antara Roy, BIM Manager Strategy and Implementation, Larsen and Turbo Limited. Anita has over 18 years of experience in construction industry, playing various roles. She has led architectural design for one of our leading global retail chain outlets. She has implemented BIM in APC projects and has trained more than 100 resources in BIM. Now I'll hand over to our expert Rahul Shah to share about BIM benefits.
Thank you, Hitesh. And hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Rahul Shah, and I would take you through some of the thinking and perspective from globally. Why we need BIM in the industry. What are the potential benefits, and how one should go about implementing it at a business level to integrate, within your system. But before I do that, I'd like to take a few moments to share who we are as the British Standards Institution. We are a purpose-driven organization. Our very purpose is inspiring trust for a more resilient world. And we operate around the world and enable businesses of various sizes and scale and types to turn best practices into habits of excellence. Operating across 193 countries and various client groups, within built environment, but also healthcare, manufacturing, aero, and various other industries. We are known as the UK's national standards body. And so, yes, we do create standards and global best practices, but we do also support businesses in terms of embedding those best practices in their businesses through business level certifications as well as training programs. We also provide consultancy services to businesses who may require a little bit more support in terms of embedding best practice. In terms of built environment, we support government specifiers, the client organizations, main contractors, EPCs, designers, all stakeholders within the built environment in terms of embedding best practice. Our key focus areas are on the right hand side, as you can see. Sustainability at #1 priority for us, but I know for many organizations around the world, because climate change and climate challenge is a real challenge for us. Digital transformation, supply chain, procurement, and health and safety. So these are some of the key focus areas how we are supporting various stakeholders, right from design all the way through to construction, operations, and decommissioning within the built environment. When it comes to BIM, I thought I'd share this global footprint where BSI is quite active around the globe. And you can see some of the names on the screen whom we work quite closely in terms of embedding the BIM best practices through standards, through training, and through other support mechanism as well. So we operate in a number of countries and support clients in terms of embedding that BIM best practice. So today's topic, the why, the what, and the how. And I remember when I started my journey in implementing BIM almost 15 years ago, my first job, I had with architectural practices in, taking them from 2D CAD to 3D BIM based workflow to begin with. And these are the questions that always business leaders ask, that okay, why we should consider this, and what are the potential benefits, and how should we go about implementing it. So we will try and explore these topics, and I will take a global perspective and the standards perspective, and our expert Antara Roy will take a case study based approach, and how at L&T MMH material handling division, how Antara has been leading that, the whys, the whats, and in the hows. So a few things, before we dive into why BIM, let's first take a moment and understand overall ambition globally, not just within India or UK or USA, globally, what are the overall ambitions, and where does BIM sit? But first and foremost, BIM is a fundamental part of the overall digitalization aspirations in our sector where we sit, and today I know we talk about, the smart cities, the IoTs, the AI, the machine learning, but BIM is a great foundation to achieve all those aspirations in terms of 3D printing, robotics, artificial intelligence, because BIM is all about capturing data right from the design stage all the way through to procurement, construction, handover, and then continue the journey into operations. So data capturing is very important, and therefore BIM is fundamental to overall digitalization. But overall ambitions from the clients, as you can see on the right hand side, you can summarize literally in the three sort of points. First and foremost, we all want to reduce overall design and construction, but also whole life costs of built environment assets. Then reduction in environmental impact, and we all know that construction industry contributes massively in terms of carbon emission, in terms of waste produced globally, and many reports suggest that almost more than 50% of the waste produced globally is a construction sector, built environment sector is contributing towards that. So we have a big responsibility in terms of focusing on that, and how can we reduce that environmental impact by being more efficient in terms of using resources, natural resources as well as man-made resources, and how can we extend the life of assets through plant preventive maintenance and so forth. And it's also responding to increasing urbanizations. We know in India, for instance, that the projected growth in terms of urbanization is massive. From population point of view, from urbanization point of view, look at the 100 smart city program that the government of India launched a few years ago. A number of airports, number of highways, roads. So there is a massive projection in terms of that aspiration, growth, urbanization. But also consider your future position, your business position in the industry, where the industry is heading towards, especially post COVID. Everybody is trying to find ways to be more efficient. Everybody is trying to find new ways of working, or maybe improving ways in which we work, and therefore introduce elements of innovation, customer centricity. Digitalization is right at the front and center of everything we do now in today's world, and we saw that during pandemic in the last 12 months, how everybody moved from, for example, physical meetings into online meetings, for example, having those interactions in a very simple way. But we all know that in digitalization is helping this industry, construction industry, massively in terms of improving productivity and efficiencies. So consider future trajectory and direction that the industry is moving towards globally. But that's all global. What does it mean to India? Well, first and foremost, the audience, from India must be aware of this, that this whole digital India vision that the Prime Minister Modi has set for India, and the vision is of the Digital India program is to transform India into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. And if we look at it from that lens, BIM is very much part of the digitalization journey in this sector, because construction industry in India was, and I don't have the latest stats in 2020 or 21, but if you look at the third bullet point on the screen, it was the second largest employer in India in 2017. And so to that point, if the vision is to transform India into a digitally empowered society, then construction industry has a lot to actually contribute towards that vision as well. But also look at the other two bullet points. Top, by 2025, it is predicted that in India, construction market is expected to emerge as the third largest globally. And also the output is expected to grow on average by 7 points. So these are all indicators that suggest that BIM businesses should look at BIM, and as part of the overall digitalization journey. So when you start looking and start considering BIM for your business, then this is the very first question I would highly recommend you should ask yourself and try and answer. And to answer that, understand first and foremost your business key performance indicators. What are the value drivers? What is the growth strategy for your business in the next 3 to 5 years or 5 to 10 years? Do you want to expand into international geographies, or do you want to expand from private sector into public sector, or vice versa? What are the business performance indicators? If you're an EPC contractor, is it time, cost, quality, safety, and so forth? So think about, there is no magic answer to this, or there is no global one single answer. It depends on who you are, your business. If you're an architect, your answer might be different. If you are a structural engineering business or EPC contractor, your answer might be slightly different. So consider that. So that should be your starting point, takeaway from this webinar. Then what is BIM? And I know there are many conceptions, misconceptions, or definitions of BIM, but in its simplistic way, BIM is about defining a set of processes to manage, produce, and exchange a set of information. And that information could be 3D, could be 4D, or could be non-geographical, non-graphical. And right from the design stage all the way through to construction, handover, commissioning, handover, and into operation of built assets as well. So this is in a very, very simplistic way, that BIM definition. And I'm aware that, in BIM, people also talk about the dimensions of BIM, which are 3D BIM, 4D BIM, 5D BIM. But let's not confuse, between what is BIM versus what are the dimensions of BIM. Okay. In today's topic, we're going to focus more at a business level, strategic level, what is BIM, and how you should go about implementing it. Internationalization of BIM, and what you see on the screen here at the top level, where all the British standards that we were fortunate enough to get involved with, and together with the industry, we led that global efforts in terms of standards-based approach, procedure-based approach to BIM. And the good news is that today, we have 4 of those standards have become transitioned into ISO standard, ISO 19650 part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 5. And part 4 is being written as we speak. And part 6 is at the moment UK focused, but it's very, very important as well from health and safety point of view, and how you can embed BIM within health and safety. Again, if you are considering building information modeling, also don't consider it in isolation of don't consider it in isolation of on its own. You can see on the screen that how BIM sits or fits within overall performance of organizational and business QMS systems, and 9,000, 55,000, 27,000, and 45,000. So you can see that. Right. So when you think about, so that was all about whys and what's, why, some global parameters you should consider at a business level, global level, the direction, the trajectory, what is BIM, and what are the standards. Then the next question, you would say, what are the potential benefits? Now that depends on who you are in the supply chain. If you are a client organization, meaning you are a developer, for example, then there are different benefits to you for BIM than if you are an EPC contractor or a facility management business. So you can see the client developer's point of view. Typically, the benefits are plenty, but in terms of improved cost, time certainty, better visibility of the entire EPC process, but also smooth handover, and therefore you are sort of starting to build your own digital built assets as well, portfolio. So that is a massive advantage as well for you as we move towards digital world. I think having the digital replica, call it digital twin or what have you, of your asset is also very important. And I thought I'd share this with you from one of our clients, Road Transport Authority in Dubai, and how they see implementing BIM standards-based approach. And you can see on the right-hand side, they are realizing, they're still early, relatively early in the journey, the last 3 to 5 years, but they are realizing some cost savings and time savings as well, from that perspective. Now, if you are a designer, architects, engineers, structural engineers or MEP engineers, there are many advantages to you as well of implementing BIM, and some of them are listed on the screen. Improved productivity and so forth. But I think a couple of important ones that I would like to call out are the ones at the bottom. Reuse of digital design palette, and what that gives you is ability to actually do design optioneering and design rapidly. So that is a really good angle to look at designers point of view, but also enabling the design for manufacturing and assembly approach as well once you are into the digital world, and rehearsing your designs and optioneering. It makes you much more efficient and better at promoting the DFM approach. And again, some case studies or some feedback from another client of ours, and you can see that number of BIM projects that they and this was last year, but number of BIM projects that they were working on, and the benefits that they were having in terms of ability to drive more data driven decisions, informed decisions. It's really, really important that if you are an EPC contractor, subcontractor, trade contractor, there are plenty of benefits as well to support you in your risk mitigation for your business, to support you in terms of improving safety, offering better quality product, reducing defects and snags, for example. And there's some couple of benefits as highlighted at the bottom in red. Also, I'd like to call out is safety and planning. You might have heard of 4D planning, also reducing waste and rework as well. How you can use BIM to actually support you in reducing waste and rework, and that contributing towards those overall ambition of reducing significant reduction in that climate and that environmental challenge that impact that the sector is having. And again, another example or a case study from Vinci, and how they see the benefits and of having instant access to project data in a common data environment, and it makes for a much smoother process, resulting in fewer disputes and significant time and cost savings. Again, so there are plenty of I'm sure you would have experienced some of this as well if you are already on the journey of BIM. If not, you would have heard about benefits also. There are plenty of benefits, even including manufacturers. If you're a manufacturer, you could also have plenty of benefits, some of which are listed on the screen. But most importantly, it's about growing your business and having your products in front of architects, engineers, EPC contractors, in a digital world. So I think you have that global reach to specifiers, the likes of architects, EPC contractors early on, so those are the benefits that one of our clients in the manufacturing space, Legrand in France, and this is in their own words, that BIM, implementing BIM for their object library and making those objects available to the clients has supported them in terms of growing their business. Obviously, you need to maintain the quality of your products and of course the competitiveness in terms of cost and everything. So BIM in itself is not going to improve your growth, but it is contributing towards it. So So that's all good, so all whys and the whats. And so where should you start? How should you start? But before you start answering those questions, why, where, and hows, understand, and I'm sure very much, that, like any other change in our industry or anywhere, there are people involved in it driving change. So people is the biggest factor in implementing BIM. Then you need to have some processes, and to establish processes, that's where the international BIM standards ISO 19650 come in, and establish business specific workflows and procedures. But then you also need technologies to drive BIM, and you may have heard about all these BIM softwares that enables these processes, the technologies or softwares that people drive, right? So think about that as well, and these are the factors that you'll be considering. So where should you start? How should you start implementing? Think about this as a change, organizational change, and therefore consider change at 5 levels: the whys, the hows, the what, the when, and the who. And when you start considering where should you start, then think about having a BIM strategy. Call it a strategy, call it an implementation plan, call it an action plan, call it a roadmap, or simple, right? And keep it simple. Okay, it doesn't have to be complex. Keep it simple. The first part of strategy, try and articulate why. Why do we need BIM in our business? And consider external factors, such as mentioned on the screen, or some internal factors. So there might be government mandate, client mandate. You might have client mandated projects, or you might have internal aspirations in terms of improving productivity, desire for growth, and so forth. So consider factors for BIM implementation within your business. The next step is how. Think about procedures, protocols, standards, QA checks, monitoring progress, continuous improvement, all those factors. So consider these factors, and I'm sure there will be many more, but think about how we go about implementing BIM in your business as part of your strategy. Then as part of your strategy, think about what resources do we need as a business, and think about the hardwares, the softwares, the people you need. You need budget, obviously. You need time to implement BIM, and allow yourself good time. It's not going to happen overnight, so allow yourself good time, considering your business size and scale and operation. Then when should I start BIM integration within my processes? Should I start at tendering stage? Should I start after we win the tender and mobilization phase, or procurement phase, or construction, or commissioning, or handover, or operation? So think about stages of BIM as well, like where do you introduce BIM? So if you're a designer, when do you start? Do you start at the early concept design phase, or do you start at the detailed design phase, for example? Then think about who um, from your business as well as in your ecosystem need to get involved with, and think about the roles and responsibilities either at individual levels or business levels, through your ecosystems. Consider some training plan, consider upskilling plan of your existing workforce, and consider aligning your business goals with your clients, aspirations, as well as individual business unit level goals alignment as well. So think about, when you think about who, think about roles and responsibilities, think about people and businesses to get involved. So to support you in process part of the whole BIM implementation cycle, we are lucky to have this international standard, consensus based, so that you are aligned with global best practice. Standards are nothing but agreed global best practice in terms of processes, right? So we go ISO 19650 part 1, part 2, part 3, part 5 already out, and part 4 is being written as we speak. When we look at ISO 19650 framework, I think few things I would like to pick up before I hand over to Antra is, you have to think about appointing parties. There are different roles assigned in ISO 19650. So the top level role is like a appointing party. Think about this as a developer, your client, and they have certain functions to perform according to ISO 19650, and therefore they need some skill set. Then think about lead appointed party functions. So typically this is in Indian environment, might be EPC contractor, who takes over the design and drives the engineering, procurement, construction. And they have certain functions, and therefore they need certain skill set in their business as well, as part of this. And you can see some of the functions But again, I recommend that you read through the ISO 19650 standards, which articulates this in detail. And if required, you go through the training programs as well. And then last but not the least is all the stakeholders who are not lead appointed party or your client or appointing party. They are called appointed party function. So, the likes of structural engineers or external trade contractors, cladding contractors, MEP contractor, facade contractor, and all those, trades, stakeholders. And they have certain functions to perform as well according to ISO 19650, and therefore they require certain skill set in their business as well, in terms of generating information, in terms of checking information, establishing some procedures, and make sure that they are within that framework. So how do we support then, last couple of slides, and I hand over to Antra, how is BSI supporting businesses across the globe? So of course we support in terms of developing best practice and standards, but also the second point on the journey map is the training. We provide training programs according to that as well, ISO 19650 suite of standards. And also last but not the least, we provide business benchmarking and maturity certification in terms of BIM kite marks. When it comes to training program and qualifications, we have a two set of qualification pathways. First is project information pathway, which is more suited for designing construction businesses. And you can see we have 3 levels of qualifications here. BIM project information practitioner is the entry level. Then we have project information professional, and then we have certified professional as well. And if you're interested in learning more about this, feel free to contact us, and we can share more details about that as well. And then similarly, we have similar pathway for asset management and facilities management businesses as well, and they can gain this BIM asset information practitioner, professional, and certified professional as well. So sorry to rush through this slide because I was mindful of timing and wanted to give enough time to Antra as well, who has some exciting story to tell us all about how Antra led the BIM implementation in L&T MMH division. So thank you very much for listening in, and over to you, Antra, now.
Thank you, Rahul. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Happy to connect with you all. So I'm from L&T, and I will take you the implementation journey of construction projects, how we are implementing it in our metallurgical and material handling segment. So first of all, who we are, who is L&T? So L&T, or Larsen and Toubro Limited, is a global leader in construction engineering, technology and manufacturing sector. We provide construction services like we have lots of independent companies like building and factories who are making high-rise buildings, factories, airports. We have transportation and roads segment who are making bridges, roads, water and renewable energy. Then heavy civil who making the metro rail stations and other metro rails, this type of projects. PT&D or power transmission and distribution ICs, power plant, hydrocarbon, heavy civil, shipbuilding. This all we are doing. And our subsidiaries and associated firms also are L&T Finance, who provides us the financial services, and L&T Infotech software providers services, L&T Valves, etc. Now we come to our metallurgical and material handling segment. So this one is the market leader in India and overseas market in engineering, procurement and construction of metallurgical and material handling business. It's if you see here, we are making the rail. We are in rail projects. We are making mines like gold mines, copper mines, zinc mines, this type of things. We are making power plants, iron making plants like blast furnace, then SMS, steel melt plant, this type of things. Then power plants all are this we are making. And we are also in manufacturing business of heavy equipment like crusher, surface miner, and sand plant. So this all about MMH and LNT. So now I'm coming to my BIM implementation portion. So Rahul already told you about the process and features or functionality of BIM. Now I will explain you how we are implementing this in our business or our project. So 5 years back, when I started this BIM implementation journey, my BIM implementation journey, so in real life projects, if you see, we have lots of, in this circle, you see BIM standards, 3D, 4D, 5D, we are in progress, field BIM, virtual reality, all are there. So in BIM standards, we are preparing the BIM execution plans in engineering level, construction level, lots of asset information execution plans. This type of documentations are done in this portion. For 3D, 4D, and field BIM, we are using different types of tools for implementing. Now, this what BIM can enable. So BIM can enable lots of things in our projects. If we properly implement it, then enormously we reduce our engineering and construction reworks. So everything is planned in this way, so we can what the complexity of the projects, engineering, procurement, and construction, that can be easily solved out without any hassle, which can't be possible to solve in a traditional process. And also, you can monitor your project in a real time monitoring way. So that all can be possible in this way. And multiple stakeholders of our organization can be now connected in a single platform, and they are using this BIM platform. You see, viewing the 3D models, project progress monitoring things are done through this BIM platform. So who are the stakeholders of this BIM process? If you see, all are the stakeholders like EDRC here, engineering team, project team, site planning and site execution team, business units, business heads, then training team, CMPC and formwork team. All are connected in a single platform to implementing this process. Now, what are our 3D BIM strategies? This slide talks about the process of how we are implementing this. So, some elements are showing here. What are the roles and responsibility of each member that is defined in this document? So, what are the BIM managers' roles and responsibilities? BIM coordinators, BIM information administrator, this all are prepared based on ISO 19650-1. And what are the infrastructure and hardware needed for this BIM implementation? That is also mentioned here with software and technology to be used. For entire engineering BIM implementation execution plan, what are the training required for individual team members? That is also defined in this document. LY matrix, that is level of information. How much my model, 3D model will be rich with information, that is also predefined here. So LOD 100, 200, 300, 350 or 400. How much information of the each component of a structure we can provide here, that is mentioned here. Collaboration work of all parties in a single platform and how all parties will be worked in a same platform, that is also defined here. Then multidisciplinary design review. All stakeholders model collaborated and that design review process will also define in this document. then clash detection report and the 3D coordination process also defined here. And final thing is QA/QC report, that whenever we will be submitting our model to client, then some benchmark data should be maintained there, so that QA/QC forms were well defined how much things should be there in model, and that thing to be checked by BIM manager and submitted to client. That thing also defined here. If you see in right side, we divided what this is example of one of the our current project, where this format we taken from ISO 19650 part 1. So there we distribute, there three stakeholder parties are there. So DCP2 is a very basic engineering phase, then my detail engineering phase, then my final submission DCP3F phase, where my design is completed, then my construction phase, and as built phase, where we will be handing over to the data or document to clients. That entire process is predefined in this document. So anybody can be use this document and implement the process on the same way. Now the 3D workflow. If you see in EPC projects, where client given the data to business units, then that data through consultant and process supply come to engineering team, and other package vendors, equipment vendors, and detail engineering vendors also given their inputs. And what I told you, this MMH is basically process oriented. We are making process oriented plan. So mechanical team is the key placeholder of this process. So civil and structural teams have prepared their 3D models and given to mechanical teams. And the same way, electrical and instrumentation and utility. Then the collaborated model prepared. Same way, what I told you in LOI matrix, that all the details with the system and product uniclass codification, all are available with the structured details, and which up to level we have to break down that structure, that details also are available with us, so we can easily make things for our use. Some of the 3D case studies, here I'm showing you different types of complicated plants we are making. Some gold mines, some below rail projects are power, below. Second one is power plant. Formwork models, detailed things with based on LOD matrix or LY matrix we are preparing. Okay. And entire things, when my 3D model with detailed things are there, then we extract the 3D to 2D drawings from there, maybe formwork, maybe fabrication or rebar models. All are extracted from there. And also we are preparing the constructability planning based on the data available, and we are preparing different types of temporary structures. Pre-plan the plant where my fabrication will be there. Entire things are prepared. Now my project BIM execution plan. So what is that? So there, this one also part prepared based on 19650-2 part 2 also. So which, if you see right side, my project BIM team, what will be the org chart that is predefined in this document. So who will be the key player in this project BIM implementation phases, that is defined. The roles and responsibilities, site BIM teams training requirement, which are the software, hardware, process driven things to be decided in these documents. Then IT infrastructure, same collaboration process, multiple disciplinary project progress review meeting, how that will be happen, how we will discuss this with client. Everything is predefined in this document with site BIM implementation plan. Now, if you see my workflow site BIM implementation, if you see this structure where from engineering team we get the integrated 3D models. That model we are using for 4D, for virtual reality and field BIM purpose. So project team provides the project schedule and integrated model. And who are the users? The users are the project team, the design team, safety, quality, and all business unit teams, also client. Everyone is the user of this entire process. Now, the major thing is schedule. How we prepare our project schedule. That is the key role of that. Okay. So there, what is that? Key, what level my schedule will be divided. Then we can decide how much my schedule is divided, that much of information we will get from that, and we can use that in my construction progress monitoring purpose. So basic thing is that when my project started, my schedule is level 1, then gradually my schedule detail is break up in that detailed way. Now when it's come to my project progress monitoring and other details, 4D is coming where my 3D model and project schedule marriage is happened and my 4D model is ready. So what is that? My basic engineering model, which is in LOD 100 stage and level 1 schedule, and preliminary 4D model is prepared. Then my detail engineering process is going on and my model is upgraded and project schedule upgraded and both synchronized, and my updated detailed 4D model is ready. So what are the things we can use with this 4D model and what are the benefits we are getting from that? We can visualize our construction progress. We can compare my planned and actual project progress, my planned and actual quantity comparison. We can compare that. Real-time project monitoring, what is my plan and what is actually happened at site. We can clearly view that. So automatically then my resource planning is done prior to construction. So optimization of resource utilization is possible in this process. Site logistic management, previously I shown you where my fabrication yard, how I will bring my assembled item to project location. That all things are planned in my 3D platform. So with that also connected with my project schedule, that then I can visualize how my logistic management is happening. So entire these things are planned and overall I can visualize my project schedule optimization is possible through this process. And I can view next 1 month or 1 week look ahead plan. What will my planning for next 1 month or 1.5 months? Then that way I can plan my resource also. That is possible through this 4D utilization. If you clearly see this image, when typically we are preparing project schedule, we don't have any, we are what currently maximum persons are doing, they are preparing their project schedule, but they are just follow up with 2D drawings. But if you have your 3D models with project schedule, both are same platform, then you can clearly see which are the items missing in your project schedule. So you can easily add that item in project schedule and easily you can reduce your time of construction. Because at project site you will face the same thing, but prior to construction you can find out the same thing. Now I can show you a small animation how this thing happens. If you see my project schedule and my construction is in progress with time. So my construction time duration progress and my construction also in progress in my animation. This way, if you see, the project progress monitoring is possible. Now what I told that what my plan, so till today my plan is red one and my actual things happened in this way. Look at plan, what I told you, this thing, black things is my next 1 month plan. So prior to construction, I know what will be my plan and I can arrange everything on that way and we can use that way. Same thing, you can do your plan versus actual and actual versus look at. If you see these green lines and this gray color construction structures, these are plan versus actual, and this dark blue and green is my green is actual and that dark blue is look ahead plan. So this you can easily visualize at the time of construction. Now I come to my field BIM. What is that? When I put my 3D model in cloud and not only 3D model, 4D and whatever data we have, that data we have to put in cloud and we can access that from anywhere. Like if you have iPad, mobile devices, laptop, computer, from anywhere, anytime you can access that data and you can use that data so easily. And your project planning, scheduling, everything done through this process. We are using this very much. We are getting very benefits of this because the persons who are at site, they are opening the model at site location and they are visualizing their structure, what they will be constructing at site. Few our models of which are available in field BIM and our teams are using the same. Now come to virtual communication. This is the most important thing current days in COVID scenario. Now you know we have travel restrictions are there, so you can't travel. So what happens through virtual reality? You can reach the site location virtually, means virtual model, and your site persons and office persons are connected that location in a particular models that complicated portions or problematic portions, they can virtually discuss with each other and solve the problem there. If they are not solved that problem, they can click the image of that and immediately send that things to concerned person. This can be possible now with this, and we are using this very much, and we are getting really help of this virtual communication option. Now training parts, what if you see here 5 steps of training process, I'm showing here what we are following. It start with overall awareness session on BIM followed by details BIM processes, and after that 3D, 4D and field BIM are covered in the sequences. Okay, and who will be getting the eligible for this training? This is project team, engineering team, procurement team, everyone, any functional team or support team can be eligible for this trainings. Now hardware and software. So for BIM, lots of hardware available in the market, but for this you need little bit high configuration mobile workstations, iPad, virtual reality sets, and lots of good software available in the market for engineering and site BIM implementation. Now my final slide come, that is the typical BIM implementation challenges and its mitigation. So the major problem while implementing BIM, we are faced certain challenges. The first and the biggest challenge is that user adoption. So for that, we have that mitigated by this challenge. We have to mitigate it by the organization change management approach, focusing on the training and communication. This should be done by everyone. We have to do that. Then sometimes we are facing that when client is not mandated the 3D models, we are chalo, we don't need to do that thing. Why we need 3D models? But for our own sake, we have to do that. Then only we can get the visualizations and effects and benefits of that. And another thing is that unstable internet connectivity. That is the one major problem in remote sites. So we have to collaborate with service provider and adequate remote services we need for that. So from me, that's all. Thank you for listening me and thank you BSI for giving me this opportunity. Over to Hitesh.
Thank you, Antra, and thank you, Rahul. Now we'll move to our Q&A round. So I've already shared with you. If you have any question, you have a question box where you can write your question and we'll reply. Meanwhile, I have few questions which I received, Rahul. First question is, what is the approximate investment to make and how long does it take to enable BIM into a typical EPC construction business?
Uh, Thanks, Hitesh. That's a very good question. And wow, it's two parts of the question. How much do we need to invest? And as Anta said also, when you start thinking about investing, think about high spec computers, softwares, training programs, and allow some time as well, right? So that's all budget point of view. That you need to think about that. The hardware, the software, the broadband, the internet speed and the networking internal connections. Now, depending on the size of your business, the investment varies. So there is no one figure like you invest 2 crores and your investment is done. Depending on how big or small your business is, your investment will be in proportion. But what I would say is that think about those hardware, software, and training programs and internet connections and so forth. Um, in terms of how long does it take to implement, it depends on how aggressive you want to go in terms of implementation. And I would be keen to ask Antra as well that how long it took her to reach to this stage. And I guess, from my understanding, I know Antra has been driving this for the last, 5
5
years
years.
or so.
Yes,
So,
5 years.
so 5 years, right? So after
Yes,
five
five
years
years.
of maturity, or thinking and internal communications, and it's a change management, so it's not going to happen overnight. So allow appropriate time, but it also depends on your business leadership and how aggressive they want to go, and the leadership bind that you want to have. But Antra, am I correct saying that it's 5 years, right? You reached to this
Yes,
stage.
yes, 5 years, almost 5 years to reach this position or this platform.
Maturity, yeah.
We are, yes, maturity from maturity where we are currently, it's almost take 5 years time.
Yeah. So thanks, Antra. So yeah, Hitesh, that's summarizing that question. I hope that's.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Antra. The next question is, what is the return on investment on BIM and how long does it take to realize maximum ROI?
I guess that's for me, Hitesh, right? Yep.
Yes, Rahul.
Yeah. So yeah, I think in terms of what is return on investment, again, depends on the level of BIM implementation in your business. If you want to only stop at just producing BIM models for design and engineering only and not take it to construction, then your ROI, return on investment, might be different. Okay, so you might invest, say, I don't know, 50 lakhs in hardware and software and training for design and engineering, and then in return, you calculate, how many hours or weeks or months you are saving in terms of design and engineering efforts times by your employees involved in the design and engineering, then that's allows you to do return on investment calculation. In terms of maximizing return on investment, you have to go deep. You have to go deep in terms of BIM implementation. You can't just stop at design and engineering. As Antra said, you have to take it to construction on site with planning, safety, quality, all this. So, and that takes time to achieve that maximum return on investment. You're not going to achieve that investment in the first year. You might be at break even, maybe, or maybe slightly on upside, plus side. But as you mature, because every year you're not investing 50 lakhs, because those hardwares that you buy, the softwares that you buy, sort of there is a one-off cost. So once you do that, then you can spread that over the years and you can achieve that ROI. Thank you, Hitesh.
Thank you, Rahul. There's another question. Is there any specific educational qualification required for people aspiring to make career in BIM?
I guess this is for Antra, maybe? Or
Yeah.
okay.
Andra, I would
Okay.
request you to reply to this question.
Yes, so not really. Okay, people who are in engineering background and working in construction industry or design part, okay, while they can opt for BIM track after necessary in-house trainings provided to them, and they can easily adopt this thing. This is not a rocket science of kind of things. So anyone who has the engineering background can come and join as a BIM coordinator or manager. So need some training for that.
Thank you, Andra. Next
Yes.
question is, what are some of the early feedback from client for BIM implementation? Andra, is it possible?
Yes. Okay. So this one is really good question. So after 5 years almost running this thing, we are now receiving that extremely positive reactions from client side, where we are implementing BIM currently. They see it as a transformation in a way construction projects are managed. Okay, so this thing now what happens? They're coming to site and through VR they're visualizing their plant prior to construction. They are seeing that, and they can realize what will be making we are what we are making for them. That thing they can easily visualize, and this going on. So from client we are getting also the positive feedbacks, and now you think majorly maximum clients are mandating BIM in their projects from engineering to construction phase. These are going on. Thank you, Hitesh.
Thank you, Andra. If you have any other question, we have these questions right on the chat box. If you have any other question, you can ask. I've shared Rahul and Antra's email ID with you. Plus, you have our website link. I would request you to ask as many as question you wanted to know. The other thing I would like to share is that the slides and the recording will be available after today's webinar. We'll share it through email. We will also share a survey form with you. I would request you to fill and share it with us, your feedback and your opinion about the webinar. And I would now thank you everyone for joining our webinar. Thank you, Rahul, Antra, for giving such a valuable input on a BIM sector. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul.
Thank you everyone for listening in. Thanks Hitesh for hosting us and having us. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.